Good day to our panelists. It may be subjective, but we are your handsome presenters for this afternoon. To Ma'am Maricar and Ma'am Maleli, good afternoon. We are here to tell you about the results of our research this school year. So without any further ado, let us begin. Today we're going to present to you our research paper, which entitles Students' Perception Toward the Virtual Mathematics Discussion Basis of Their Preferred Learning Modality. I am Francis Gabriel B. Angeles.
And I am Joseph Luis D. Junio.
I'm John Dave Maclang.
I'm Mikael Joseph Santos.
And I'm Christian Kyle B. San Diego.
Background of the study. This study focuses on the subject mathematics because as we all know, one of the most difficult subjects that a student may encounter or struggle with is mathematics, which was also stated by Pranalika Mahanta in 2019. For the past years, most of the schools in our country are used to have face-to-face classes in every school year. But this year, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, students as well as teachers are forced to conduct online modality of learning in order to ensure their safety during this pandemic era. This study aims to determine the perception of the students, whether it is positive or negative perception regarding on teaching mathematics using an online platform. Also, this study wants to know whether they prefer online virtual mathematics class or the face-to-face mathematics class.
To explore more about the influence of mathematics virtual classrooms to the students' perception, the following questions were addressed. First, how may the characteristics of the virtual classroom be described in terms of interactivity, synchrony, usefulness and ease of use, and sense of community? Interactivity denotes the ability to interact and communicate with other participants inside the virtual classroom. Synchrony indicates the medium of connection, such as the condition of internet connection and Google Classrooms. Usefulness and ease of use determines the complexity in the new online tools and platforms used in virtual classrooms and its convenience toward the students. Sense of community examines the experience and relationship being established inside the virtual classroom. Second, is there a significant influence between the perception of the respondents on the four features of virtual mathematics class as determinant of their learning modality preference? And for the last question, which is the preferred modality of the students based on their perception? Traditional modality or online modality? Preference expresses the favored modality by the students, which in this case, the traditional way of teaching mathematics, or the online modality with the use of virtual classrooms.
Null hypothesis. Our null hypothesis is that teaching mathematics through an online platform is hard and difficult. We want to know if teaching mathematics using virtual classes is really effective in the perception of the students. Especially today that we are experiencing crisis and we all know that the most of the students are having a hard time understanding mathematics. So we want to know if this virtual classes is really effective. And our alternative hypothesis is that teaching mathematics through virtual classroom is effective, more convenient, and is better than the traditional face-to-face classroom. We also want to know if teaching mathematics is better than the traditional face-to-face classes.
In order to come up with the conclusion of the research, certain procedures were taken into account by the researchers. The aim of the research, which is to know the perception of the students regarding the virtual classes in mathematics, descriptive type of research was used with quantitative as the approach. In this case, the researchers used numerical data as their basis to find patterns among population in order to conclude and have generalization. The researchers used standardized questionnaire as their instrument for the study. They adapted and utilized the survey questionnaire that was formulated by Parker and Martin in their research entitled Using Virtual Classrooms, Students' Perceptions of Features and Characteristics in an Online and Blended Course, and the research of Krishnan in 2016 entitled Students' Perceptions of Learning Mode in Mathematics. The questionnaire was in a form of a 4-point Likert scale and was transferred into a Google form. In this case, it will be easier to disseminate the data the questionnaire rather to the targeted respondents, which are the grade 12 STEM students in this pandemic era where face-to-face classes were not implemented. Moreover, in the Likert scale, higher ratings reflect positive perceptions while lower ratings reflect negative perceptions. A snowball sampling, particularly the exponential, non-discriminative snowball sampling, was utilized by the researchers. In this sampling, the researchers have selected random students from STEM 1 to 17, which will then have the capacity to refer multiple students as part of the sample. The researchers reached them through their Messenger and their G Suite accounts to officially start the data gathering, which lasted from March 10 to March 19. The total number of respondents that were reached by the referrals and who responded to the questionnaire has a total number of 138 STEM students. Furthermore, descriptive type of statistics was used by the researchers to process, analyze, and interpret the data that they have collected.
In order for the researchers to interpret the data that they have gathered, they get the mean score of every question that is included in their survey form. In every mean score, there is a designated verbal interpretation that you can see on the presentation, whether it is positive or negative. This verbal interpretation was also used by the study of Parker and Martin, which was stated earlier by Mr. Matla.
The table represents the percentage and mean score in terms with interactivity. Students agreed that video call is facilitated through instructor to student interaction. They also agreed that video call is facilitated through student to student interaction. Students have perceived that the quality of class discussions was high in the virtual classroom. Students have recognized that they learned from fellow students in their class. Moreover, students agreed that the instructor frequently attempted to raise student interaction. However, students discerned that it was difficult to follow during class discussions. Students revealed that their typing does hinder them from text-based chatting with their instructor and classmates. It was also revealed that the students could not talk freely in their online classes.
As for the synchrony, the students strongly agreed that virtual mathematics class reduced their travel time and travel cost. They also agreed that it helped them to collaborate with their classmates without having the need to be in the same location. However, they experienced signal limitations as well as technical difficulties, and they somehow perceived that the class was monotonous.
In the result of the usefulness and ease of use, students stated that it does not enhance their effectiveness to solve mathematical problems. They also stated that virtual mathematics does not improve their performance. It was hard for them to become skillful in using virtual classroom. Also, they find it hard to get the virtual classroom do what they want it to do. On the other hand, students are confident in using technology in having mathematics class.
In regards with the result for the sense of community, most of the students felt isolated. On the other hand, they also feel the sense of belonging to the classroom. They also agreed that the teachers give many collaborative activities, but they disagreed to the thought that they work with others for most of their projects.
For the features of virtual mathematics, in order for the researchers to get the mean score of every features, the researchers get the average of every question that is under that feature. And based on the result of the study, interactivity and synchrony was interpreted as positive, which means students have a positive perception regarding these two features. However, in the usefulness and ease of use and sense of community, students have a negative perception. And to get the overall mean score, the researchers get the average of these four features and got a mean score of 2.5, which was interpreted as positive, which means that the students have a positive perception on virtual mathematics.
For the result of the preference, students revealed that the course should be a hybrid that is a combination of face-to-face and online instructions. On the other hand, students prefer not to work online with their group members. Students also do not prefer the online learning environment more than a face-to-face format. Lastly, students prepare to be assessed in the traditional manner, for example, in class, quizzes, and tests, then assessed using technology, for example, online quiz, forum, and wiki.
For our first conclusion, we therefore conclude that virtual mathematics class promotes interactivity and engagement. According to the students, video calls are used to effectively communicate with their teachers and classmates. High quality of education is also being maintained during class discussions using virtual classrooms. Instructors also attempt to raise their motivation in order for them to participate. However, students also revealed that they are having a hard time to keep up during class discussion and they become timid on speaking in online classes.
Virtual classrooms affect students positively because of the reduction of travel costs and time. Students perceive that online classes are more convenient. Students prefer to have online classes due to the status that they save effort and time in transporting from their house to the school. Moreover, they enjoy online class in mathematics through this modality because they could be able to directly interact and make collaboration during the study, provided that they had the strongest internet connection to avoid the limitation of keeping connected in class.
It was concluded that in the feature of usefulness and ease of use, students still feel that virtual class in mathematics does not improve their performance and skills. Even though that the students were confident in using technology, they are still having a hard time navigating the virtual classrooms.
In regards to the sense of community, the students feel alone and isolated. They also tend to do their projects on their own. However, they also stated that they feel a sense of belonging in the classroom. They were able to help each other and build connection with each other through the collaborative activities that the teachers give to them.
Students perceive that mathematics should be a hybrid course. Students believe that mathematics should be a hybrid course combining conventional classroom instruction with a virtual learning environment. Despite having a positive view of virtual classrooms, students generally believe the traditional classroom setup with physical contact is still necessary and might contribute to their learning in mathematics.
In spite of the circumstances that the students find it hard to follow the class discussions and were experiencing internet and technical difficulties, students still perceived that the quality of education and the discussion that were being introduced to them in these virtual classes in mathematics were still high.
For our last conclusion, based on the result of the study, we concluded that students have a positive perception towards virtual mathematics discussion. However, it does not mean that they prefer the online modality more than the traditional modality of learning. And before we end this presentation, we would like to thank you for giving us your time and effort in listening to our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
All right. So, congratulations, students researchers. You have surpassed the presentation part. Okay, so nga muna na malalim because we're about now to proceed on the Q&A. First, group number 2, I want to commend your group in your effort in completing your study. Okay? Ito anak ha, it's not because I am your research teacher. It's because right now, I am one of the panelists. Okay? But what I like about your study is every detail in your paper is connected. Okay? From the title to SOP down to your conceptual framework. And your instrument is also very good. That is why you had a reliable findings. And I commend you also because you come up with a well-interpreted data. Ang sarap lang ng basahin. And also, in your introduction, you have this balance, okay? Balance RL and RS about the advantage and disadvantage of traditional and online learning. So, dapat kasi ganun talaga sa research. Okay? So, now let's move on to the difference. Alright, group number 2. Okay, you just have to raise your hand if you want to answer. So, hindi ako magtuturo kung sino gustong sumagot. Alright? So, kindly identify the variables of your study based on your title. Yes, Mr. Francis.
So our variables in this study, the independent variable is the features of virtual mathematics, and our dependent
Yes.
variable is the student's perception regarding the virtual mathematics discussion.
All right. Okay. So now, guys, of all subjects, why pre-calculus?
We don't basically choose calculus. We we use mathematics because uh, mathematics is more broad and STEM students encounter or need mathematics is an essential skill in order to pass the STEM strand. It has different subjects that includes mathematics like pre-calculus, basic calculus, biology, chemistry, research, and etc.
Okay. Do you think or do you believe that your study is somehow output based in nature?
It is not output based in nature, for the main output or the output itself is just the paper, but in it is not a product based
Mhm.
research wherein there is a need to develop a product. It is a
Okay.
paper with the it is a paper that could influence the future researchers and the people who are responsible with facilitating these classes, that could help them to better understand the perceptions of the students and the virtual classes on the whole.
Yes, exactly. Because your only intention at the end of the study is to know the preference of the students, okay, between online and traditional. Okay, very good point. Next, sige nga, in a brief manner, okay, concise manner, what was the overall findings of your study? Yes, Francis.
As stated earlier for our last conclusion, we have concluded that students have a positive perception on virtual mathematics classes, but it does not mean that they prefer the online modality more than the traditional modality.
All right, so this is the follow-up question. So considering the fact that probably by next school year we still need to observe, the mode of learning we have right now, which is online. So what's the essence of knowing the preference of the students if at the end of the day, specifically by next school year, ganito pa rin yung mode of learning natin? Yes, Dave?
Examining the perceptions of the students who are experiencing the situation right now could help in improving the overall virtual classrooms in mathematics. Perceptions of the
Mhm.
students should be able to perception of the students should be raised, for the students are the one who supposed to receive the knowledge by given by the instructors for the main purpose of education, which is to transfer the knowledge of the instructors to the students. with
Okay,
with examining the perception of the students, the one who facilitates this online learning might be able to assess whether there are some deficits that these virtual classes have, and they might be able to have countermeasures regarding that. And that might help in improving this virtual classroom, not only just in this COVID era, for with the technological advancement that we have, the future of education might be online.
okay. So with that answer, Dave, okay, can you provide us recommendation, okay, based on the findings of your study?
Since most of the students are experiencing technical and internet difficulties, as one of the significance of the study of this research, with the app developers, they could
Mhm.
somehow improve the interface where the students could also navigate this site more easier, because as one of
Okay,
the findings in this research, they are having a hard time navigating the site.
all right. How about a recommendation for the educators or teachers?
For the educators, since the students are having a hard time following the discussions, but they still perceive that the education that were being introduced to them in this virtual classroom were still high. The instructors might have a countermeasures and might have a another in another another attack wherein they could manage to improve their learning styles wherein the students could be able to follow, and the virtual classrooms would be in synchrony to the learning capabilities of the students.
Okay. How about those students who have chose modular learning modality? Would you like to add recommendation for them?
The researchers does not immense on that particular subject. It is not in the scope and the limitations of the research. That is why it is hard to comment on that thing. But if the future researchers would rather go and have a understanding about the virtual classrooms, the modular learnings, and the traditional classroom, they could have a comparable comparable stud analysis on regarding to that, and they could be able to analyze whether what particular learning style or learning modality would bring success to the educational system that the country is bringing to the students.
Yes, exactly. That is why the only concern I have in your research paper is the recommendation part. And then all in all, it's well presented. So again, group number 2, congratulations. Pwede na magpahinga at mag-relax.
Thank
Bye!
you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you,
Thank you
Master.
po. Thank you. Bye po.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because sharing is